All right, so we're back here once again, another episode here of Couch Coach Live on the lights here on a Wednesday night. What's going on, Maui?
What's up, man? What's going on with you?
Nothing much, man. The same old, just another day. Just working, grinding,
Busy,
doing what I
huh?
gotta do.
Busy.
Yes, indeed. It's about to be a busy month, so yes, indeed, right.
Right,
Calm before the
right.
storm, but yeah, man. But yeah, we
That's
got a
what's up.
great. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, you good? I said that's what's up, man. You know what I'm saying? I know you staying busy. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
sir.
Keeping the brand, taking the brand in different places, over the
All over,
seas and the water. You
all
know,
over.
pretty.
Yeah. So yeah, we got a great show lined up for you tonight. We'll definitely talk about the elephant in the room. Obviously, we're here in Richmond. Obviously, broadcasting here in what I deem the studio, when they blocks away from the Siegel Center. So we got to talk about Mike Rhoades heading to Penn State. We'll talk about the Final Four, what to look for this weekend's as well. Thursday night football. Your favorite football team may be playing 2 Thursday night football games
Right.
potentially, and then the NFL approves the number wearing that players can wear the number 0. So we'll talk
Mm-hmm.
about that, and then we'll also talk about which players that we can see wearing number 0 going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to ask the $1 million question. This is kind of one of those, another question where I think a lot of people think about this as well. Did Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith ruin sports television?
Mm.
So we'll get into that. So we got a great show lined up for you tonight. So what we're going to do, we're going to kick our intro, and we'll be right back on Couch Coach Live. We'll be right back. All right, so we're back here on Couch Coach Live. Before we get started, definitely got to give a huge shout out to the good folks at Goalie. Head over to Goalie, use the promo code Couch Coach, give yourself 10% off at checkout. So, man, and it's funny that we talked about the coaching carousel maybe about 2 weeks ago. We looked at just as far as we knew just the movement that's going on in college basketball. We talked about Rick Pitino going to St. John's, and then obviously Tobin from Fairleigh Dickinson going to replace him as well.
Right.
And then obviously the carousel, blossoms yet again, and it's in our backyard. So obviously Penn State, their former head coach, Micah Shrewsbury, is now at Notre Dame because obviously Mike Bray is no longer with Notre Dame. So there was a opening in Happy Valley, and they tabbed VCU's former head coach Mike Rhoades, and Mike Rhoades is heading to Penn State. And Mike Rhoades, 6-year, 10-year with the Rams. He went 129 and 61. He went to the tournament the last 3 of the last 4 years. Obviously, he signs a 7-year, $25 million contract with the Nittany Lions. And once again, another coach leaves for greener pastures. So your thoughts on Coach Rhoades going to Penn State?
Congratulations. He was coached at Rice and in VCU, and then when you tell when he was at Rice, I was looking at how many games he won, and he was just getting his feet wet, and he only had like maybe 2 seasons in VCU where I think he was 18 and 13 and 18 and 15. So he's always won at VCU. And then they said he was from Pennsylvania, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. He's not too far away from the college. So congratulations to him, man. And with all uh the things with these coaches, the transfer portal and all these different things, you know what I mean? I think these colleges gonna have to really, get these coaches in there, you know what I mean, and make sure that these players and these parents are comfortable.
Yeah, I think it's such a great move now, considering the fact that you're going to the big stage. Now you're going to the Big Ten. So I think that's going to be the beauty of it all. I think that's going to be I love that challenge for him, where he'll have that opportunity to play against Ohio State, Michigan's, Michigan State's, Purdue.
Right.
He'll have essentially that type of load. So I think that's going to be a great move for him. And I'm really curious how his coaching style is going to translate into the Big Ten. And the beauty thing about it, and and if he can do what he did at VCU as far as winning 20 plus games, he'll be in a tournament every year. There won't be no shadow of a doubt. If he can pull off the same things that he did at VCU, he will definitely be in a tournament. If he can win 20 games in the Big Ten, if he has 20 wins a season, undisputed, he would be there regardless of how they got to those 20 wins. He would be going to the tournament year in and year out. But great move, and it just shows you kind of just the landscape of college basketball. I mean, obviously, you look at just how successful Coach Rhoades was this year, and I want to say it won like 22 out of their last like 27 games this year. They were one of the hardest teams in college basketball, and to get him, and you think about Penn State as a team,
27-8 or something like that. It was like
something like that. Yeah, it was
something like that. Yeah,
and you think about this team, this Penn State team that just went to the Big Ten championship game and obviously lost to Purdue, but what a feat! And I'm so excited for Coach Rhoades. I cannot wait to see what he does, at Penn State, and especially like I said, with the transfer portal and everything that encompass what type of players he can bring in, and I'm just really, really thrilled of that. And then looking forward to with alleged, this, obviously there's reports circling now that allegedly that Ryan Odom will be the head coach at VCU, former Utah State head coach. So I'm really curious how that regime is going to be, and looking forward to being able to talk with the coach and kind of see what's going on, how he's going to shape this VCU squad and all that. So it's a sad day for some in Ram Nation, but I think everything's going to be all right.
Right. I mean, congratulations, man. Like they said, like I was watching today, the guys was like, it's just time. You know what I mean? The opportunity was there for me. Got to take it,
Yeah.
They knew it was coming.
Yeah. I mean, a Big Ten job doesn't come that often, especially of a Penn State type situation. I know people say, well, it's a football school, but at the end of the day, that doesn't even really matter. Like,
it's wide open now, right? Yeah, get your money, and it's wide open now, man. It's not the 90s, it's not the 80s, 90s.
Yeah,
it's not the 2000s. Like, I mean, if you just see the teams that's in there, like things is changing. And these schools are saying, "Hey, we want these coaches here. We want to get in there. You won here, so bring that here."
Yep. And he'll have that opportunity, especially that 7-year deal.
Let me ask you: do you feel by him being at Rice, being from Pennsylvania, and being at Rice, and then being at VCU, that he may be closer, have this like a player's coach, like closer to his players than like a legendary coach like Rick Pitino? Like, you would think that he may be a little more what's the question? What a word. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not as, he doesn't like have that. Well, yeah, disciplinary, or just have a more understanding because he's not a celeb coach.
Yeah, I think with him, he's tough. Coach Rhoades is tough. You don't think about it on the surface, but Coach Rhoades he's a tough coach as far as getting the best out of his players. And I think you can just even tell it in this Rams team this year, it was respect. And I think the beauty about it, and he even said, hey, these guys gonna work hard in practice until we figure this out. And then you just look at how essentially you look at the progress that they made throughout the season. So yeah, they respect him. I know for certain I think those players are gonna respect him, but he's gonna he's a guy that commands respect. No doubt.
Right.
No doubt about that.
Right. Like, sometimes I feel like when your coach has been winning, playing for a legendary school, and they've been winning for so long, it's almost like you can't talk to them. Like you be like closer to the assistant coaches than the actual coach is what I mean. Like, you know what I mean? And by him coming for VCU, do you think it's a different feeling than being, I mean, the respect is there, but I'm saying that they might be easier to talk to him because he's not at that place where he's like a Rick Pitino or Dean Smith or Coach K.
I mean, oh yeah. I mean, they would respect him, and plus he's played the game, so that's the thing about him as well.
Yeah,
so,
word.
Yeah, so he's he's a former college point guard, so he commands respect, and I think even back to his days as being the assistant at VCU, during that when Shaka was here. So yeah, I mean it's gonna be. I'm really excited and pumped to see what he's gonna do at Penn State.
So how do you feel about them? So VCU is actually hiring somebody outside the coaching staff.
Yeah, this could be Ryan Odom. That's allegedly.
Right. Do you think that's a good thing?
Oh yeah, I think it's a great move.
Okay.
Because and he's another one that's been around. I want to say Ryan Odom was the coach of UMBC. If my memory serves correct, I need to just make sure I fact check that. But I remember, hearing his name often. But and he's done a fairly good job at Utah State as well. So, and that's one thing where when you just look at just this type of job, and then just with just the landscape of college basketball, where when you get that superstar head coach, you'll get that kind of that emerging head coach here. Like you think about, you just look at down the line, you look at just even their history, you look at Jeff Capel, what he's doing now at Pitt. Then you look at Anthony Grant, what he's doing at Dayton, Shaka. Will Wade, even though, I mean, hey, he's in the conversation, but he's at McNeese State. So him, and then now you're looking at what Coach Rhoades. But they've always have had great young talent. So he was a head coach at UMBC when they beat UVA. And obviously, being at Utah State, he got there in 2021, so he's only been there for 2 seasons at Utah State. But yeah,
okay.
Yeah, so definitely looking forward to the new era as well, and definitely pumped for Coach Rhoades at Penn State for sure.
Yeah, congratulations, man.
For sure. So. We talked about obviously, somewhat another. We talked about an entity of the coaching carousel in college basketball. So let's actually talk about the games that'll be happening this weekend, where we're down to 4. It's funny that we started at 68, now we at 4. So obviously, the 4 that remains are Florida Atlantic University, San Diego State, the fighting Kawhi Leonards, the fighting Marshall Faulk. And then we got Miami, the fighting Alec Rodriguez's, the fighting Ray Lewis's, the fighting Shane Larkins. And then round out, we got a blue blood in UConn. The fighting Ray Allens, the fighting Hashim Thabits. Y'all remember who Hashim Thabit it was? The fighting Charlie Villanuevas.
Charlie Villanueva. Wow.
I was gonna say somebody else, but I can't. We can't. It's a family show, and we can't talk about AR, and we can't talk about AH, former. No, that's right. No, well, he didn't go there. That's right. Good. He was just in that state, but yeah, I'm glad I didn't say that. But
I don't know who you talk about, so definitely after
that's good. That's good. Yeah, we ain't gotta talk about it because that person didn't even go to the school. He's just resided in the state. He didn't.
Oh,
He didn't go to that school. So yeah, we got the Final Four. So pretty much, who is going to be? First of all, what's your biggest storyline going into this this Final Four?
I'm not going to disrespect San Diego and FLA. I'm not going to disrespect them, but I'm not. That's not the game I'm looking for. You know who I picked.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying. So I really everybody still keeps saying they before it was Houston, before that was Texas. Like they keep saying that now. They saying UConn is going to win the whole thing and they're going to beat Miami. So I really want to. My storyline is Miami going to knock off another big dog. That's my storyline. And the details is I think Miami's coach got the most experience. You know what I mean? Because he's been there before. So that's my storyline. And what else? You got another question for me? That's really my main storyline. That's my main storyline. Is I believe in them. I believe in Miami. I like their press conference. I love the chemistry with his players. The coach with his players. I had to share it on my Facebook because he's letting everybody lead. You know what I'm saying? Like he's letting everybody speak for themselves. He's teaching them really like team, like just like to be 73. I don't feel like you see that. You know what I mean? Whereas it's about, he's like, nah, man, I'm happy to be here. My wife is happy to be here. And he understands that it's not just about being in the tournament. We got to sell this school because it's a game now. It's not just about, you know what I mean? Like you got to get people to come here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because the players got a little bit of control now. Like they can move, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I liked how he had everybody speak and how he's bringing everybody together. He gives everybody responsibility. You know what I mean? So my storyline though is Miami is Miami going to figure out a way to keep pushing forward? And are they going to knock off another big dog? Because if they do, my next storyline is they're going to win the championship.
Okay. Yeah. So my biggest storyline is going to be just the rise of FAU. It's funny to think that FAU going into this tournament has never won a tournament game.
Wow.
For some bizarre reason, they have got hot and won 4 straight games.
Wow.
Just look at the rise of FAU.
Right.
And UConn, it's funny it's funny. Sometimes if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Right.
So with UConn, every time they've won a national championship from last time, I mean, I'm thinking 2011, Kemba Walker, I think even 04, and I think maybe even when they won in the 90s. They've won their championships coming out the West bracket. And it's like, I never thought about it until it dawned on me the other day. Like, they're in the West bracket again.
Wow.
So it's just one of those where, like, gosh, like, UConn is back in the Final Four. Because, matter of fact, that year in 2011, when the year that VCU was in the Final Four, they was coming out the West. And it's in Houston again. So I look at that. And just, and a great job with, what Danny Hurley is doing, the better brother of the Hurley brothers.
Right.
No, I had to do a little Duke dig on that one. But Dan Hurley's doing such a great job at UConn. There you just look at just like what Coach Dutch is doing at San Diego State, and then Jim Larranaga. Think about it. when they won that game Sunday, that was the 17th anniversary of when he led George Mason to the Final Four.
Right.
So,
yep.
And that's another one. And Jim Larrañaga, he's carrying the flag for, carrying the flag for the Atlantic Coast Conference. So, hey, I can't be mad at that.
And you know what I like about him too? Like, he answered the question, but he's not even talking about that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, he's talking about what's right here. Like, but yeah, man, go ahead. My bad.
Yeah, and that's one thing too. And you look at just how successful the Miami teams have been. I mean, you think about just like within the last maybe like 10 some years, you kind of seen this program kind of elevate themselves. So that's great testament. Like, and I remember even when Jim Larrañaga got hired there, I know a lot of people was kind of like questioning that move, and I remember that just as vaguely as that. And he's just doing his thing, and definitely, so I'm definitely, and obviously we talked about and talking about another team, San Diego State, Coach Dutcher. Obviously, Coach Dutcher was a part of that Fab Five team. He was obviously the assistant head coach under Steve Fisher at the time, and same thing here where he was the assistant. And San Diego State's been a team that's now been somewhat on the rise. They've always kind of hit that Sweet 16, Elite 8 level, but never got to this far. And think about it. 3 of these 4 teams had never went to the Final Four ever.
Right.
So this is going to make for a good Final Four. And just curious, who's going to play Monday night? That's going to be, the biggest thing. So who's going? So the final question on this one is, who's going to be playing on Monday night, and who's going to have that one shining moment? Who's going to win the Natty? Who she got?
I've been saying it from the get-go, man. It's Miami.
Yeah.
It's Miami. Like I've been doing this all day. Like, I'm at work talking about it, and everybody like, you see it. I said, man, like it was when they played Indiana, it was one player that had 27 points. You know what I mean? Pack had 27 points. I said, but I'm just watching everybody. Wong, he the one that keep them going. And I'm like, and then when I look at the stats, they don't have a lot of assists, so they're going really one-on-one, but they get a lot of rebounds, and they undersized. Like it's crazy. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, I'm going Miami. I'm going Miami. I'm going Miami.
Who they gonna be playing Monday?
Who they gonna be playing?
Yeah.
And I don't know, man.
Okay.
Because let me tell you why I say I don't know. Because I feel like, how did you feel about that foul called late?
I mean, my thing is this though. That situation, that's never, like, to me, it's never a right or wrong time to make a call of that nature. And I know people say, well, you shouldn't do it at that, but it's almost just like speeding is speeding. Just because I'm speeding because of this is going on, it's speeding.
Right.
So I mean, people say they should swallow the whistle, and because I think I forget, because I know there was opposition. I know Clark Kellogg was like, you don't make a call of that nature, and then like Gene Statutor was like, well, when do you not make that call? So
right.
I'm kind of, it's ticky tack.
I'm going FAU.
So yeah, okay. So we have a battle of neighbors, of Florida neighbors.
And I was going to do that anyway. I was when I did my paperwork today, I said, okay, I'm gonna say this and then see how he feel. But yeah, I'm doing Miami versus FAU, definitely.
Yeah. So it's gonna be UConn and San Diego State for the Natty on Monday night, and then I got UConn having that one shining moment and winning, and Dan Hurley will win his first Natty, and a blue blood will still emerge, even in the midst of all this chaos.
Here you go.
even though a lot of people don't consider UConn as a blue blood, but to me,
right,
in this day and age, to me personally, I think when people think of blue bloods, they think of Duke, Carolina, Kentucky. Some people don't even think Michigan State is a blue blood, but
right
in this tournament, I'm going to consider UConn as a blue blood. For certain.
Who'd have thought that Gonzaga would miss all those threes?
But Yeah, but Gonzaga, that's another one where they might have just hit their plateau. And it's just
Right.
because you just look at and UConn put man the smackdown on them, and it was so crazy. It kind of reminded me of the national championship game against Baylor 2 years ago. They just gave up. They just literally gave up in the second half.
Right. They couldn't even hit they free throws. Like, it was just, you right. They just gave up.
Yeah. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, I got UConn and San Diego State. And then I got obviously UConn winning this national championship.
Yeah, man. I might text you on the next day, but I ain't gonna text you that night. Miami win. Like, Miami, baby. Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting. Saturday night, obviously,
right.
Especially the FA, because I'm really curious on that side of the bracket, FAU and then San Diego State. So that's definitely going to be some level of intrigue on that one.
Because you on the other side, I'm on this side, so that's great. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna watch, because I felt like that last game, man, with FAU, they could have easily lost that game, man.
Yeah, and that's one thing where Noel. Anyway, because they were smart, because what they did with him was they got him in single coverage, and then he kicked out to the guy, and they switched, and they did that double on the guy. He couldn't even get the shot off. So yeah, that was a situation where Noel should have just took that shot, and did something with that. But that's here nor there. But they're here. So it's funny. Obviously now we'll transition now to some NFL. So essentially, there was the owners' meetings this week, and obviously there's always some nuances or some type of new rule that happens, that's going to take effect of the new year. So, and we'll talk about two of them tonight. So the first one is going to be the NFL approving teams playing multiple Thursday night football games. So essentially, they aren't flexing the games quite yet, but what they're going to try to do to kind of better this product, because essentially in the previous in previous times where a team can only have one Thursday night football game, but now it's going to get to a point where the NFL is now going to approve teams to be playing but the max is going to be 2 in a year. Your thoughts on a team potentially playing more than one Thursday night football game in a season?
Money. Like, I mean, have y'all seen the last Thursday night games on Amazon? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It was horrible. But once we, you put what we're going to talk about in the show, you start doing an investigation, you start seeing that it could really, really change the league. Like, they were really going deep into it, where to the point they was like, it's probably going to be another game. It's a lot, man. Like, a dude was breaking it down. He was like, man, the Thursday games is already hard enough because you can't even practice. You got to heal. You got to do walkthrough. And you know what I mean? He said it happens so fast because your body got to re-heal. Then you're talking about doing it twice. It's going to be a lot, It might eventually be like the NBA, where a lot of those stars ain't going to be playing a lot. You know what I mean? Which is right now is making a lot of people upset. But these dudes, it's a physical game, and these dudes are going to have to rest. You know what I mean? That's a lot.
Yeah, and it sucks because you think about it, and then you got to think about it, because it might get to a point, even though I don't think it's necessarily going to happen, but what if it gets flexed out one of these days, and one of these years, and what you think is a game that, okay, I got a full week to recover, and then you're on a short week in 3 days. I just don't like the fact of Thursday night football in its entirety. I used to like it when the days when, hey, you used to do it like on Thanksgiving. I'm cool with something like that, where you're only doing that once. And even with that just you did it once a year, and it's just and only four teams had to deal with that. Now you're dealing with a situation where you're at least playing a Thursday night football game, and some can probably play another. You think about, especially if you're a team that's what I call like the blue blood type in NFL. If you're like the Steelers or you're like the Cowboys or like the Chiefs, teams that can generate ratings any night of the week.
Right.
So those type of teams, they're probably going to be adversely affected. Those type of teams. I wouldn't say like it's really no team I would like as far as, but just as an example, those type of teams, I think you'll probably see them playing not multiple, but 2 Thursday night football games. But it's just like you said, it's just a load of crock to me, where it's almost like they try to feed this thing of about player safety. You're not looking out for the player when they tell you explicitly all the time. You're on a Sunday, you're involved. Literally, the impact of those hits is almost similar to a car accident. Right. Guys can't even get out of their bed on a Monday. They barely can get themselves together for Thursday and Friday for for practice, during that time period. So you got that coupled with if you have to travel that Wednesday to go to that game. So it's just one of those where, and that's what he said, it's a money grab, and it's like, and it's just ridiculous to me. And like you said, there's other ways to kind of fix this Thursday night football fiasco, but a part of it, why it sucks, because you just think about just what these guys go through. Like, you're not going to get these guys at 100%. Because I always say, like, to me, how to fix a Thursday night football situation is essentially they got to come off a bye week. Right. The teams that are coming, because you have some teams that come off of bye weeks. If it's one of the two teams or two of those teams that are on a bye, they play that following Thursday. Right. Or, something like that. So it's just one of those where you just, there's ways of fixing this. And I think doing this where you got two teams, teams can be playing 2 Thursday night football games, it's just not going to work. I hate that this is even an option.
So they haven't said this is what they're going to do. They're they're just talking about it.
No, it's going to be effective this year. So when it's going to come out in May, you might have a situation where they're going to have two teams. A team maybe playing 2 Thursday night football games in a year, in a season. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, I hate it, especially because you just know, especially late in the season and what have you, or just any part of the season. I just hate the fact that especially when we're preaching about, health and trying to preserve these players, you add an extra game, to this equation. And then some teams will be playing off of 3 games. And that's the thing. And you think about it, like, if you're playing, like, especially like a primetime Sunday night game, and then you got to essentially play Thursday night, or heck, if you're on the road on a Sunday, hell, if you think about it, like if you're a team, like a West Coast team, I was just giving an example, like the Chargers. What if the Chargers play a team out east? They got to come, and that's a 1 o'clock, even if it's a 1 o'clock game, they probably not going to get home essentially probably about 7, 8 o'clock their time. So probably about 11, 12 o'clock. That's about a 5-6 hour flight if they come in east. And then you expect them to, maybe they have a home game that Thursday night or whatever, or they might have to go back on the road again. Those type of teams, you think to yourself, like, how is this helping the game? It's not going to help the product, because the product is bad because these guys are coming off a short rest.
Right.
That's the problem. So they fix it. Teams got to come off a bye and play on a Thursday.
It's money.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money being put there, and they're not going to turn that money away. And then, can't turn the money away. You got to think of the health, but So it's like it was like I was watching some things today, and they were saying that the NFL eventually probably want to have it almost every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they could, you know what I mean? And then they were talking about if you did do something like that, you might end up having to have some more teams. You know what I mean? Like they want to figure out a way that they could just can have it all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they want to ram it down our throat, and it's going to get to a point where
Yeah.
it's going to be overload, and people just going to be like, you know what, I refuse the product.
Right. Because I believe the best thing about the NFL is they have a whole week to promote their games. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like a whole week from Monday, you have the Monday night when they talk about what happened Sunday. Then you got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, before they even had Thursday night. And then that's the best thing. And it's like it almost make you promote like that Sunday. It promotes the game that like okay, it makes it almost like a holiday every Sunday to watch football. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what make it. But it can't be like it just can't be like it's like baseball. Like you know what I mean? Like it would end up getting to the point it was just so much. You know what I mean? But and you know we don't have we don't focus like we used to. You know what I mean? you know what I mean? Like people don't watch a whole video no more anymore. They watch shorts. You know what I mean? Like we don't have attention span like we used to, man.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think it's a good. Like I think they need to protect their players. I get it. You know what I mean? I think they should really put the players' health first. You know what I mean? Because well, let me ask you a question. What if they made it a Friday rather than Thursday?
The only thing with Friday, it just depends. I know, like it's still gonna be the same thing.
Could they give them a day to practice? I think
it just gives them an extra day, which in theory, an extra day I don't think gonna help.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then I know it's gonna coincide with like high school football too. So I know that's kind of one of those where.
So that's why they made it Thursday. You telling it. Then Saturday is college.
College, yeah. So it's kind of one of those where it's even if you did it on a Friday, I don't think it still be the same effect. I don't think like an extra day in a sense will really help because I mean instead of traveling Wednesday, it'd just be Thursday. It'd be an extra day. And then I know they'll probably be like, well, the back end, it's like, well, I'll get that extra day. Like we can leave town on a Friday and they'll have to come back until Monday. Then they'll be like, well, then we got, play the game on Friday night. And then like, oh, well, we can, we out Saturday and Sunday and then we got to come back Monday.
So. Right. So like, I know we rapping. So what about, I don't know. Because they have those games in England.
Yeah.
So I was thinking like, and that's usually like on a Sunday, right?
Yeah, they're always on Sundays. And then even those, they play the game and then come back to the States and play the very next week. Because that's what happened with the Packers last year. Because that's when they played the Giants in England and then they end up playing the Jets like the very next week. It used to be when you played those games, you had a bye week. So that's another one where I'm just like, how you expect these guys to make a 6-hour flight like of that type of nature and then come back the very next week and play in a football game?
Right.
Because they got to get acclimated because obviously it's a different time zone. It ain't like, traveling from east to west, but now they going further east.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't like either one, honestly.
I mean, bottom line, like I think the last thing that the dude said, he said, man, they're gonna keep doing this. It's gonna be to a point where there's going to be some stars not be able to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're gonna have to rest. You know what I mean? Yeah. And in the NFL, every game counts. It is not like you could just take a rest. Yeah. Every game counts. You can lose in September. And what did I told Lamar, okay, when it comes to November, you know what I'm saying, October is really different than September. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You,
for
you
sure.
you win a couple games in October and then start getting stuff pushing in November. Things look real different. You know, every
Yep.
game counts, and you can't just like the NFL or baseball, whatever, just sit people down. You know what I mean? But you know that's going to happen because they're going to be paying these guys so much money. And like now, look at the NFL. I mean, the NBA right now. Look how many stars got hurt in 2023. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
Zion. Look what happened with John Morant. Like, you know what I'm saying? Even though I know he didn't get hurt. Look, KD. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But
LeBron.
yeah,
Like,
and with the NFL is a lot different because he always gonna have injuries
right,
regardless
right,
of it. And I think with the NFL, like the NFL is just one of those where they're just like it's almost like they're bulletproof. Like there are situations where they can move on without having like the marquee attraction in the sense. It's weird.
right.
Like that's where it's like I think that's where the NFL is almost like it don't matter. Like
Right. And
yeah,
that's what they thinking. And that's what you just said is exactly what they're thinking. Like, man, this is not the NBA because somebody told them exactly what I'm saying.
right.
And they said it's not the same. People come there to watch football. They don't care that Patrick Mahomes is not playing. They're not gonna care. And they might even be understanding. So
Yeah. And you got to think about it. This is a different league as far as who runs the league. Like,
Mhm.
Adam Sandler, Adam Sandler, Adam Silver, he lets the prisoners run the asylum
Right.
versus Roger Goodell. Like you said, those guys ain't gonna sit up, especially like you think about, like you said, the Amazon, that $1 billion deal. Oh, if you ain't hurt, you playing. So this one
Right.
that's a whole different ball game where Amazon for now is their cash cow until
Oh, they're
the
gonna
new
give them
TV
some more money,
contracts.
bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah, yeah.
Amazon now is somewhat the cash cow, but obviously once
Right.
Fox, CBS, and all that, because they're gonna really ratchet up, and I think definitely ESPN definitely gonna try to get themselves a Super Bowl. So that's gonna be some extra money, some little extra cheese that they're gonna have to get to the NFL.
Right.
Because they ain't they ain't paid Troy and Joe for no reason. They won a
Right.
Super Bowl. But yeah, that's the thing where it's just a different league, and it's just that money. It's gonna happen. But yeah, they guys ain't on no management in the NFL. But
And
sure.
that's what I'm saying. It got to be brought up, but you're right. People gonna come there. They're not gonna say, "Hey, y'all should be playing." Blah blah blah. But you right too. They're gonna say, "Nah, y'all gonna have to play. Y'all gonna have to play." But
Yeah.
even if the commissioners say that, people don't never look the fact that it actually might be the team saying, "Hey, man, I don't think y'all should play this game. We'd rather y'all play the Steelers rather than playing the Texans or something like that." You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's what happened to Derrick Henry this year when they played Dallas. Because they played Dallas that final Thursday night football game, so they can have him ready for that Jacksonville game the following week. And it
Mm-hmm.
happens, because they were trying to get in the playoffs, and they knew
Right.
that game really didn't have no implications. You might have that like towards the end, but
Right.
it kind of that game really didn't matter for the Titans at that particular time because obviously it it was going to come down to them them in Jacksonville to win the South. So
Right.
there was one instance where like Derrick Henry got benched. Well,
Right.
he was a healthy. Who on a healthy scratch? He was still battling some injuries, but he needed to
Mm-hmm.
be ready for next week for that. For that week 18 game. But yep. So the next item that they discussed during the owners meet is now they're gonna approve wearing the number 0. So the number 0 will be back. So the last person, and it's funny thing, it's been 50 years since the last time someone has wore the number 0 jersey,
Mm-hmm.
which was Ken Burrow from 1973. He was the Oilers wide receiver. That was the last player in NFL history to wear the number 0. So with that being said, wearing 0, which NFL player do you want to see wearing 0?
Jalen Ramsey.
Okay.
No, but I actually said Lamar Jackson. I couldn't think of nobody. You know, I couldn't think of nobody.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe Chase Young or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and to me, it's got to be somebody who's marquee, somebody who needs to set the tone for zero. So
I said Lamar Jackson.
Okay. So yes, somebody's got to be someone that sets the tone. Someone like it can't just be this run the mill type player. It's got to be somebody who's like the best in their position. So I looked at. I know even though Micah Parsons did say he wanted to be agent zero, which I don't know how that's going to play out because obviously, if he changed his number, he's going to have to pretty much bow his jerseys, and I don't know how that's all going to work out in that end. So Micah Parsons, I can see him because if you think about it, if he wears zero, all the linebackers going forward is going to be wearing number zero. I would love to see Derrick Henry in a zero, like as far as it's that big, strong factor back, and you can just see him, and he'll set that standard too. Because like, okay, if I'm a bruising running back, man, I need to have that zero. I need to be, and then Kyle Pitts. I think Kyle Pitts, he'll be great in zero. Obviously, now obviously we look at the tight end position with like George Kittle, Travis Kelce. And, Kyle Pitts is going to be the next. He's going to be the evolution of them. So I think he's next in line as far as the next great tight end. He can set that standard at that position. And then I looked at even like maybe like an A.J. Brown. I can see him doing as well. But whoever's carrying that torch at zero, they got to represent because that's kind of one of those numbers where this is an unprecedented number. This is the first time somebody's wore this in 50 years. Y'all, so whoever's wearing that zero got to set the standard. Like, you're gonna be going down in NFL history as far as somebody who's gonna set that trend. Because if any of these guys that we all mentioned, Lamar, Micah, Derrick Henry, Kyle Pitts, if they wear that, everybody and their mama gonna wear zero. Everybody can start wearing zero, so they can represent. They can represent for sure.
If somebody give Cam a job, let Cam wear it.
No, we talk. Let him keep his one. Let him keep his one. But it's yeah. But somebody got to set the standard. That's the thing. They got to set that standard, like for sure. Like. They gotta carry that torch. They gotta crawl so somebody can walk. But yeah, those are the ones who I want to see wear zero that I thought about. I thought about some quarterbacks, but I thought about a few quarterbacks, but
I mean, I thought about it too, and I was like, man, only person I could think of from a quarterback standpoint would be Lamar. But then I was like, I'm sitting here acting silly, and I was like, well, shit, let Baker Mayfield wear it.
No, we talk about guys who dominate, who are beasts. We need to, who's, and then you think about even with quarterbacks, their numbers are kind of synonymous to them. Like a Patrick Mahomes, I can only see him in a 15, or like a Josh Allen, I can only see him in a 7, or Aaron Rodgers, even I can see him in a 12. So. Even though I don't know how that's going to work if he goes to the Jets because that's Joe Namath's number. So I don't know how that's going to play out. If he goes to the Jets at this point, I don't know, because it is March 29th and Aaron Rodgers is still a member of the Green Bay Packers. Yeah,
but you think that I don't think nobody's really making any crazy moves probably till after the draft.
Yeah, but it is funny where it's funny because I think the anticipation of it, the Pat McAfee interview, we're thinking that it's going to be in it.
Right.
I think that's where the anxiousness of it, because we're like, I intend to play for the New York Jets, and then you're like, okay, then it doesn't happen the way that we think it's going to happen, because I think. When he came on that show that Wednesday, and I thought we came on that Wednesday that this was like the deal was gonna be done. So, and then now him not talking to Ted Thompson, kind of I'm not surprised, but that's another one where, hey, you might still want to talk to Ted Thompson to get everything together, get all that stuff together. So that's on. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think he leaving. I don't know, man. It's weird because like even Lamar. I was like, if I was Lamar, I would go on Pat McAfee too and speak my mind. He keep going on Twitter and this and that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was like, man, I would go on Pat McAfee and didn't let them ask him some questions. He ain't got to tell them everything, just enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They got a platform now that they can go on, and the guy, you know what I'm saying? You can speak for yourself. You know?
Yeah, for sure. So the next topic that we're going to discuss, and I think this is a very interesting topic to say the least. I know this is kind of something that I know a lot of people have voiced their opinions about this in a sense where, as far as as far as what Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless has done to the so-called sports television landscape. So Stephen A. Smith was on South Beach Sessions show. So that's Dan Le Batard. If you remember Dan Le Batard, former ESPN personality, Miami Herald,
right,
longtime columnist there. So, he was on the show with Stephen A. Smith. He had him as a guest. And he said, I hate what you two, implying Bayless and Stephen A. Smith, have done to sports television. That's what Dan Le Batard said. And obviously, our guy Stephen A. Smith got back. He said, you can say that all you want to. And I would say, who the hell are you? Stephen A. Smith said. To sit up there and say me and him, what about you? Where the hell were you living under a rock, teaching at Miami U? You were a part of it too. You ain't innocent.
Right.
End quote. And how are we responsible for that? Smith also added as well. So my question is essentially, do you agree with Dan Le Batard as far as did Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless ruin sports television?
No, I don't think they did. You know what I mean? I think that maybe some. I don't think they ruined it. I think they made people who they didn't even pay attention to sports. Pay attention to sports. You know what I mean? It opened the door. Like, I remember Cold Pizza, and it was all these different shows out. You know what I mean? And that's it keeps happening. Like, people coming together and being creative and being able to talk about sports in different ways. You know what I mean? And it's not small. It's wide, and it's a big variety of different things you could watch. So at first I was gonna be negative and be like, yeah, he did, but no, it just gave you a different way. It opened up a door to be creative, to talk about sports in a different way. You don't necessarily have to debate. Like, I remember, years ago when you and Chip would have a conversation, and he's a Cowboy and you're a Commander. And it was just great to see you guys speak, because you wasn't debating. What you guys was doing was putting stuff out there, what each team can do. And and I thought it was beautiful. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to say that. I think they really opened the door and opened the market for it. Like, one of my favorite shows back in the day was The Best Damn Sports Show. You know what I mean? And that kind of like got me to look for something else. And then there was First and 10. You know what I mean? That was First and 10, right?
Yeah, because it was Cold Piece and then First and 10.
Yeah, First and 10. And then, what's crazy? Like, I was telling somebody earlier, and I was like, it was three things that had stood out that was different. Like, I liked, I was watching wrestling, and it was NWO, and it was like Hulk Hogan was a villain, and it was like everybody liked the villain, like, you know what I mean, and loud talk. But it also was Jerry Springer. Like, Jerry Springer was cultured, and it was like everybody, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was loud. Used to come on at the same time to at 10 o'clock. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So I was going back and forth, but no, man, I loved First and 10 when I hated when Stephen A. wasn't on there with Skip. You know what I mean? They don't even. It was some of the greatest. It was some of the greatest TV back in those days, and they don't even hardly play some of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, remember the Two Screws? I think they was called the Two Stews, and Rob Parker. Rob, the early Rob Park. It was some of the greatest sports TV that they don't even really put on there. So I disagree. It's just that I guess they're trying to say everybody's trying to do it, and you could tell that they're just it's like I guess they're trying to say this everybody just putting stuff out there and they're not doing the homework, they're not putting the research, and they just what I mean, just putting information out there. You know what I mean? So I disagree. I think that I think they did wonderful for TV.
Yeah. I think it's like the equivalent of how people would say about Steph Curry and him jacking threes.
Good games. Yeah.
So I think in theory, people look at it, like you said, just because you see them doing it, people want to kind of mimic that.
Right.
But to me, they didn't make sports television. They didn't ruin it. Because you got to think about where they come from. It's just like everything. It's like everything in life. They pivoted. I mean, these guys are columnists. They came from, obviously Skip all those years with, in Dallas, Chicago, LA, and all those years where he was a columnist. And he was a public enemy number one in the columnist world. Right. And then you look at what Stephen A. Smith, and you think about the road he's been through. Philadelphia Inquirer, he's been, so they come from the columnist world where their art, in essence, the paper now morphed into, you think about it, because before they even did, First and 10 and all that, and First Take and all that, they had a segment on ESPN called Old School versus New School.
Right. And I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's where that kind of morphed, because that's where you look at, because Skip Bayless was like this old school character, like just want to, buzz. And then Stephen A. Smith was the one that's able to come back at Skip Bayless. So I definitely think they set somewhat of a trend. You think about it. Man. And my thing, even with like Dan Le Batard, I'm like, he was in it as well, because Dan Le Batard was a guy. I remember reading his articles in ESPN, the magazine, when I was a child, like in 1998, 1997, whenever ESPN, the magazine, came out. Because matter of fact, he was, if my memory serves correct, he wrote that one of the articles I really remember about the about Ricky Williams. And he wrote about that article, and I remember that, like, even as a child, I was a teenager, but still, and now I was a child at the time. Right. But you just you think about, they kind of transformed, because you think about it, columnists weren't on like television at that time. You think about it, they were starting to become, but they're not. Because you think about the grandfather of all the situation is Tony Kornheiser and Mike Wilbon. They were kind of the first ones at the forefront of what we look at print journalists and journal, as far as being on a major network. Because obviously, you had sports columnists maybe like doing like local stuff, but not on the scale like ESPN level. Right. And I think what they did, they've pivoted, like, they reinvented themselves in a portion of their life. And I think that's, to me, I don't think they ruined sports, because you look at just how successful both their shows are, even to this day. Obviously, First Take is, still, is wiping, undisputed out the window, but still, as far from a ratings perspective, there's still two great shows that are still putting up ratings. Even though First Take is still number one, but people still want the product. That's the thing, where you can't say that he ruined it, because the product is still valid. People are still yearning for that type of debate show. So to me, I can see if somebody like of my ilk or any of us can say that, but as far as saying that like to a colleague of yours, I just thought Dan Le Batard, and I think Dan Le Batard might have just did that for shock value, for us to even to even create this topic, because y'all are the same ilk, and like you said, you're not innocent as well too. You had great success at ESPN, and you're still continuing to have great success on your own now. And that was, based on your journalistic prowess, working for the Miami Herald for, I think, gosh, he almost worked there for almost 30 years. Right. So Yeah.
I think it was a great question. I think the way he did it, it came off, and then being on a podcast,
Yeah.
I think that's a podcast question also to ask Stephen A. on rather than on a, you know what I mean? And, also to get the views, you know what I'm saying, to be the trend. And I
Yeah.
think it's a question that probably should have been asked. I mean, that was what, 97? You know what I mean? When I had watched that, I was raising my little brother. He was a baby. I think, well, maybe 98, maybe or something like that. But I think a question need to be asked because it's done blown up. I mean, that's part of the reasons me and you on this show having this. You know what I'm saying? Because of what they did. You know what I'm saying? And like, it just opened a whole new market. I can't. They didn't do anything wrong, man. All they did was what they wrote right. Got on there and had a debate. You know what I mean? It was a debate show, but so I'm happy they did. It was extreme entertaining. You know what I mean? Extreme entertaining.
Yeah. And maybe they reunite again, and I think that would be crazy. If that ever
Mm-hmm.
happens again, with them two. But yeah, I mean, it was great. I mean, you think about it, that was a hell of a 4-year run for both of them. I mean, you think about it, and then just that's just it is what it is. And you think about just the many people that have kind of merged from their entity. I mean, not just them alone. I mean, you look at the success of Carrie Champion, what she, when she was the moderator there, what she
Right.
did at ESPN. Now I think she's now with Amazon. You look at
Right.
their success. You look at like what Molly Karam is doing. You look at even like Joy Taylor. What she's
Yeah.
when she was she was their moderator for Undisputed in the beginning, and now look what she's like almost damn near got her own show.
Right.
And you just look at just the other, and you look at Shannon Sharp, and like it's funny because you look at like with Shannon Sharp, because I remember him being on CBS and kind of, I mean, he was funny, but he couldn't. He's not unleashed like he is on Fox. So, yeah.
You know what's weird? That's what's crazy. It's like since he done did Club Shay Shay,
Yeah.
the doors has opened up for him. That's why I said, like, I know that's why that gentleman did that. Actually, I can't remember his name. That asked Stephen A the question. I liked his show because I liked his
Dan
father.
Levitar.
I thought that was creative. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I thought that was to have his dad on there and his dad speak how he wants to. But I was looking at Shannon Sharp, and he's already a celeb, but he's starting to, culturally, he's starting to revamp himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's like to the point where I was saying where he was really like he used to be funny on CBS, but not like this where he's like been really unleashed. But you just look at just those opportunities that they have provided for other people. So I like their impact is far reaching than what they did in for that 4 years they were together.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I don't think he necessarily ruined. They ruined sports. And I get where Dan Levitar is coming from because he wanted that angle. And that's just this is how he is. I mean, and like you said, you're not innocent either. You're a part of this as well. So yeah, but yeah, it's
like,
definitely
try to have like that Howard Stern and like you said, that shock value. Like, it's weird, man. I was thinking the same thing about Charlemagne, like how he used to be. And look how he is now, where he used to pick with celebs and do certain things, and now he's that big celeb. Like, you know what I mean? So now people trying him, because there's certain things he can't do anymore, But yeah, man, like I think it's a question that should have been answered though, because everybody is in some type of way trying to be like them too.
Yeah. And why not? I mean, for some people, that is, because you just look at the success that they've had, and I think you just look at where, like I mentioned earlier, where, this is like their second act of their career. Like they're probably going to go down, when it's all said and done with, people are going to forget they're columnists. And it's funny. I almost forget all about Skip Bayless was a columnist. It's just funny, like how now you look at like Skip Bayless been around, as far as the cold pizza run, all that for like almost 20 years. And you think about all that's concerned. So I think, you're looking at their careers and like, it's a great feat to, like I said earlier, where they can pivot. They pivoted from a career in journalism where their art was in a printed, newspaper or website. Now their art, they can visualize, they're able to articulate their points in a debate style, and also, and actually, do it in that regard than versus being, in print. Yeah.
The only thing I'm not knocking. I'm happy they did. The only thing that I don't like about both of them is I feel like both of them, Skip and Stephen A, have gotten extremely arrogant because of that show. They know they've been ones in the beginning, but they're extreme, like they extremely arrogant. You know what I mean?
And I get it, because and that's one thing too. I think when we think about arrogance, almost we want everybody to always be humble in a sense. But they've earned it. They've earned their stripes. Like, they've been through the mud. They've been through, a lot of things. So they can brag. To me, I look at those type of situations, even though we may not like it on the surface, but hey, they paid their dues.
I get you.
And I think sometimes a lot of people, we always say, you need to humble brag and stuff like that. But those guys been around. They've done. And it's been documented. Even you look at like with Stephen A. Smith book, and you can just see like his trajectory and kind of what he's been through. And it's like, hell, if you get to this point, why not brag? I mean, you've gone through so much in your career. And I also think with Skip is the supervillain of sports. I mean, people think that Skip Bayless was the enemy, like cold pizza. This dude, like, I watched something about Skip Bayless in 1982, and he moved from one news thing to another, and I mean, Skip was getting killed about that. So Skip has always been that hated person forever,
right? So, and that right, and like, it's funny because they're in California now, since they've been in Undisputed, and when you watch it, he be bothered. I think he say he don't be bothered because he just stay in the house with his wife. But he be like, Shannon, how did you get here? How did you get here? Because Shannon can go out and do whatever he want to do. And I guess because Skip, it's a price to being a villain. You know what I mean? It's a price to villain because everybody's going to attack you, or everybody's going to try to, you know what I mean? Or try to come at you. You know what I'm saying? But
And I actually like the angle that shout out to our guy Tony Hollingsworth, and I get that point too, because I think sometimes what get lost is in those debates. Right. It's just like it becomes like that minstrel show type of thing. That's why, like, and I'll read his comment, Tony's comment in totality, where I feel both Smith and Bayless, their personalities almost distract and take away from the sport itself. Right. They both said some crazy stuff, and people listen because how crazy it is. And we almost like we said earlier, Paul, the shock value it is. And that's where it's like, I look at it from that perspective as well, too. Like, sometimes certain topics, you're like, all right, this is a little bit too much. Mm-hmm. And I agree on that point. But like, as far as when it comes to just their accomplishments, I just can't ignore it. And I'm the one I don't really watch them as much anymore, because I really never. I'm about debates, but I think sometimes debates can get a little bit too much. Like, to me, I always thought the best. Like, to me, if it was a show that I really really liked and I wanted to kind of model this show after, was Speak for Yourself, when they had when they had Acho and Marcellus Wiley. Right. When they were there together, I liked their banter going back and forth. That was where I kind of wanted to model this show after, of that type of nature, where I come from one angle and from another. But that debates, and like you said, I think too, and almost to Tony's point, where I can see where, and I know it's kind of congruent to kind of Tony's point, where people are gonna try to mimic it and to disagree just for show. Like, it's not genuine. Like, we can say, oh, well, it's 9:44. Well, no, my clock says it's 9:46.
Right.
And I get that part of it where people are going to mimic those type of situations and have fake arguments and fake debates about stuff. Well, I gotta take this stand, and I like sometimes like when it comes to being on panels and stuff, people always say, well, you need to take this stance versus this. Because I remember one day it was like, well, you need to make the case that the NFL is the best, the best playoffs.
Right.
But it's not. It's like, but to me personally, it's not the best postseason. I'm not going to sit here and be like the great debate and make a case. I'm going to just say, hey, I love the NFL, but I think March Madness is the best postseason because of the one and done nature. Because, you can have a bad day. The star player can roll their ankle.
Right.
Anything can happen. So there's, versus like the NBA, we know who can win the championship. I mean, you think about it, the best team is always going to win because they play 4 out of,
right.
They play 7 games. They play up to 7 games. So you just got to win 4 out of 7. So you look at those type of situations. And the same thing with NFL, they won and done and all, but still. But I'm not going to sit here and say, well, you need to make a case for this one. You need to make a case for that one, but I can't make a case for something else. And I get that point too. And I'm like, nah, I'm going to say what's authentic and what's true to what I said, because when somebody asks me again, well, you said on this panel you love the NFL postseason, but then on this one, you're talking about you love college basketball postseason more.
Right. And you got and see, like now, because of how it's ascended, like I can understand back then because things were so different. You know what I'm saying? But like now because it's a part of our life now. Like even like I said, it really is. Like even if you don't watch sports, it's still a part of everybody. You know what I mean? And so, and everybody kind of getting tired of that too. It's like, and I think that's what the question really was about. Was like, man, I'm just talking about all these wannabe. They just want to keep going with that format because that's what they feel like worked, and they feel, you know what I mean? That's what they feel like worked. You know what I mean? And it does because all the shot, because they gonna go, they gonna go far, especially on YouTube. They gonna go as far as they can. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it just goes back to what I was saying about the whole Stephen Curry thing, where even though he's the greatest 3-point shooter in NBA history, but why is these 7-year-old kids jacking up threes in a rec league? That type of situation. So I get that angle as well, but as far as their personal accomplishments, you can't be mad at them.
Right?
I say hate the player, don't hate the game. I mean, well, hate the game. Well, now really, in theory, my bad. I misspoken that one. Right. Hate the game, don't hate the player.
I am happy. I wish that that question would have been like on the court, like, or is it off the court? What's the NFL show that they got where they have all the legends talk? I wish they would have like legends, journalists that has been on ESPN or whatever, and ask that question that's been on there since then. Like you said, Michael Wilburn, Ravon, Tony, all of them, like, because they are, and it like with YouTube being there, and then all these different platforms and podcasts, all these different things, everybody like how do y'all feel? Like, you know what I'm saying? Is it going too bad? Is it going too far? Or what's going on? Now you got the actual players saying the hell going on y'all platform. Like the Herd got his own media company, and he got Draymond Green. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
and live moods. All right now.
Stupid.
All right, chill out. Gotta chill out.
But yeah.
All right. We're a little left. We went off the beaten path, but we're back. We're back.
Right.
We're back. All right, so we'll put a bow on tonight's Couch Coach Live.
You know what was funny though?
Yeah,
It's just funny because how Stephen A. talked. Like he like asked the question. He was like, "What about you?" Like I know he probably be like, "I just can't have a conversation with somebody attacking me."
And it was funny because he's like, "Well, who the hell are you?" Like it's funny. Like if you watch the podcast, he looked like, who the hell is you? Like he went off, but
right. And Stephen A. need to just take it on the chin because, bro, they just trying to be like y'all. They trying to be like you and Skip. You know what I'm saying? And then you see that Shannon is wearing a goat mask, right?
Yeah.
So here you go get a cowboy hat. And that's the best thing working for you.
Hey,
but
it's the gimmicks. So we'll give out this week's game ball. Let's get that.
Oh yeah.
Up. So who gets this week's game ball?
I'm giving this game ball to Middleburg, Virginia's own Jordan Miller with the perfect night, 27.7 from 7 field goals, no threes, 13 for 13 at the free throw line. There's only one player that did that, and and that was Christian Laettner. So he's number 2. It's only 2 players that had a perfect night.
Yeah. So, man, I gotta go to Coach Mike Rhoades, man. Man, shout out to Coach Rhoades, man. Taking that job at Penn State, and it's gonna be, definitely looking forward to what he's gonna do at Penn State. Sad to see him go. I was looking forward to chopping up with him in those pressers and all, and next season and all. But it is what it is. But always a great guy. Always answer my questions. When I asked him. So it really expanded on the questions and gave great thought and great and a great answer to those questions, and always showed me love when he seen me. So definitely huge shout out to Coach Rhoades, man. So he gets this week's game ball for me.
Yeah, man, both of them, man. Congratulations.
But I almost want to be like the dude, like how was it the sports writer at for Jackson State? I'm like, I need a ride to Pennsylvania. But nah, man. Shout out to Coach Rhoades, man. Do your thing. I wonder, are they gonna do the same thing? Because I don't know how they go. Now I don't think this is gonna be a part of his deal. Because I remember his deal was he was gonna have to play a home and home versus his former team. I know that's what happened with Shaka.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
They did that with Shaka, yeah. When he went to Texas, but I think it was just I don't know if they do that stuff anymore. Like as far as that you have to play your team, your former team, home and home. But I don't know. That'll be interesting. But,
it would be very interesting.
But VCU fans, it's gonna be okay. Don't throw shade at Coach. Coach is doing.
Hey, so do you think Coach, when he go to Penn State, he gonna say, "Hey, you got that transfer portal because I'm bringing Louis"? Do you think he's saying that?
You know what? He's not gonna say that on camera.
What he gonna say? What he gonna say?
He probably just say, "Hey, we're just gonna get some. We're gonna look at the portal. We're gonna look at the portal.
Right.
I think, and that's another one where you look at getting especially a guy like a Brandon Johns this year and who paid big dividends for this team. He dug deep in that portal, and that's another one where you just look at. I mean, he had pretty much a brand new roster in this sense. I mean, he had a few guys obviously left over from the previous, from the 2021 team. Well, that was 2021. But anyway, so from that 2021-22 season. But oh yeah, he's going everybody's in the pool. Everybody got the hand. Yeah, it might be Louis Samsonite. Isotone, it's gonna be it's
Gucci.
Because he ain't gonna be like Rick Pitino saying, you know what, most of these guys ain't gonna be on this team, but when Rick Pitino said that, I was like, you know what? And that's why it killed me why people were so upset about when Deion said that.
Right.
I was like, everybody says that. Like,
right.
y'all just, the thing is, this Deion is just put it in your face. This is what they say behind closed doors.
Right.
Like the whole thing about, I hated when everybody drew those conclusions that he wanted a quarterback that wasn't from a single parent home. And they're like, oh, why did you say that?
Right.
But NFL GMs, why the hell they asking people about their mama and their dad and all that type of stuff?
And it's It's also a conversation too, man. Because Gary Owens said that in his comedy thing, he said that he was saying the same thing. So it must be something come to that. I mean, Deion is not rude. You know what I'm saying? He just honest.
He's just telling the truth, and it's almost like he's telling you what these coaches are seeing.
Right.
So to me, he's like the translator. Like, if you think I'm this way, where do you think I got it from?
Right.
This is what they're judging your child on anyway.
Right.
Just because I'm saying it out loud, that's what happened. So, and like he said, when he said about, I think it was the D lineman, he wanted them to, be hungry, like a single parent home, like I gotta do this for mama.
Right.
Why are we getting sensitive?
Right.
They're looking at your boy that way.
Right.
They looking at your child like that anyway. So that was my biggest thing. It's just like, bro, it's okay because you aren't accustomed to like kind of how people look at prospects. Because remember, at the end of the day, I know that's your child, that's your individual entity. They just look at them and be like, okay, well, yeah, this person is. They gonna look at his attributes before before anything, his character.
Right.
So that's just the world that we live in,
and he's telling you what he's looking for. It's funny because, he's giving you something that people can talk and hold on, and he's telling you what he's looking for. So you're like, okay, he definitely ain't gonna give me a shot. Like, you know what I mean?
And then they're like, well, what about Deshaun Watson? Oh, ain't nobody, we don't do that. What about Deshaun Watson? And they like, he came from a single family home and look what he became. Okay.
230 million.
It's a preference. It's a preference.
Right.
And then even when they were like, well, Shador, he's a single parent and he's come from a single parent. But he mentioned that he wants somebody who's been coached by their father.
Right.
I like, y'all gotta leave this alone. Y'all are taking this too far.
Right.
It's a read between the lines. It's a preference. This is what I look for in this person. There are going to be some diamond in the roughs that don't fit that criteria. You might have a dog on a defensive line that might have both of his parents.
Right.
You might have a dog at the quarterback position that's coming from a broken home. You might have an offensive lineman that is a part of a single parent home, and he, So I just like, y'all just gotta take it for what it is and just chill out. But enough of coach speak. Your final thoughts before we head on out.
Hey man, great show. Can't wait till next week. In the words of the Miami coach, I said shout out to the coach. Don't play the score, play the game. Yeah. Shit, great. I love that, man. But congratulations, man. Great show.
Yeah, absolutely. So so great show once again. Social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, under Couch Coach Live. Pretty much check out the podcast anywhere you get your podcast. Apple, Spotify, we're there.
Mm-hmm.
And then just check us out, the website, couchcoachlive.com. And also, so social media-wise, just be on the lookout for some stuff on social media. Definitely the Twitter page probably buzzing this weekend. And we get that going. And yeah, man, this has been this week's Couch Coach Live, man. We'll catch you guys next week, and we're out.
Welcome.